Hi! If you haven't seen my first video on studying Frostbite.studios art style, I recommend checking that out first. But if you're coming from there, hi and welcome back. In this video, we will be focusing on how Frostbite and similar artists create semi-realistic proportions, starting with the frontal view. I thought about putting the 3/4 and side profile view all in this video, but I felt like it would be a little lengthy, and I think being able to focus on one subject in bite-sized pieces will go over better for most of my audience. To keep things simple, today we're only going to be covering the male facial and head anatomy, and if you want a tutorial on female features or even body proportions, let me know down in the comments, since I wouldn't mind doing something like that. And like last time, I've added time skips and timestamps so you can skip to what you need or to rewatch certain parts. But without further ado, let's jump right in. For references and tools for this tutorial, I will be using the ASARO head as a guide. You can see it now on screen. It's available on ArtStation. I really recommend you check it out and use it for yourself. I will also be using my own brush for my brush pack, known as the Gritty Chongguk. I love it. I think you guys would love it too, but the link to that will be down in the description as well. And of course, we are going to be using the glasses method by Thomas Lecter. I believe he is the original one to create this method, but don't quote me on it. However, it's amazing, it's phenomenal. I always use it, so I think you guys should be using it too. Starting with the frontal view, let's grab a reference photo or the artwork that you're studying and trace along with me. The first thing we're going to do is draw a circle for the skull, then add your guidelines for the brow, nose, and chin. The next thing we're going to do is sketch a polygon between the brow arch and the nose tip. This is what is known as the glasses guide. It locks in the proportions between the eyes, brows, and the nose. From there, we're going to place the ear markers, eyes, mouth, and connect the jawline. After you're finished, you should be left with a base that looks like this. Once you have that base, try redrawing it on your own. If you can recreate this structure consistently, you'll have a solid foundation for the proportions you want to study or the art style you're aiming for. But for a more semi-realistic style, I recommend practicing on human references to get an even better understanding of the proportions. One tip is to repeat this process several times until the proportions feel natural. I truly suggest checking out How to Draw Faces by Thomas Lecter, since he goes into more detail about the glasses method, the anchor points, and construction methods. It really helped me when it came to making sure the position of my facial features were correct, but as long as you follow the guidelines you have in place and don't stray too far out of them, the results you get should be good. Also, don't forget to flip your canvas and adjust things accordingly. But if you do end up raising the chin or lowering the brow line, make sure you recreate the guidelines to fit those new proportions so you don't accidentally follow the old ones or lose track of how you like to create your faces. For male characters, I usually go for sharper eye shapes, and for softer looks you can curve the top of the eyelid more, but for this, here are 3 shapes I often go for constructing the eye, male eyes at least. Feel free to screenshot this for personal use, but in truth, studying eyes from reference and tracing the shapes you see in the photos is equally helpful when it comes to understanding the shape of the eye, especially from other angles. But since we're only doing the front-facing angle, the structure should be a lot easier. Another helpful tip is if you're struggling to refer back to the ASARO head. Being able to see the structure and planes of the eye instead of simple lines is very helpful, so I recommend studying the ASARO head as often as you'd study human or art style references. One tip to keep in mind is if you're drawing from the frontal view, if you want the eyes to seem more realistic, you can add a tear duct or the bottom lid line. But if that isn't the style you're going for or prefer less detailed eyes, feel free to leave it out. For male lashes, they tend to angle more downward and are straighter, but you can draw them from a curved angle. I just find that it gives a more feminine look rather than a masculine one. But ultimately, do what you want and what you like at the end of the day. There's no rules to this. This is just a simple little guide of how you can get them to look a little bit more proportional. That's it. If you've gotten enough practice with the eyes and are ready to place them, knowing where to put them down is very simple. Continue to follow the guide you've made for yourself and follow the shape of the sphere that was constructed. Of course, if you place your eye down and you find it to be a bit off, don't hesitate to move things around or adjust even your guide. Continue to also use your chosen reference for comparison, and once again, the ASARO head. I promise it will really help you. Now that we have the eyes done, let's move down to the nose. Because we already have the glasses guide, placing the nose is very simple. One of the things I do want to add is the wider the glasses, the wider the eye spacing, and the shorter the nose. Narrow glasses mean closer eyes and longer nose. Here are 3 ways I often construct the nose from a front-facing angle when I'm going for a semi-realistic approach. You also see this method in Frostbite style and other semi-realistic artists. If you're comfortable and ready to place the nose, follow the guidelines as said before and go ahead and place it down. Simple, right? You can't really fail as much with a guide in hand, and even if it looks off, you can still adjust accordingly with liquify or by resizing things. But if you're completely new to this, give yourself grace since it takes time to understand and get better at internally judging what looks right and what may look off. Can you believe we're already almost done with our face? The last thing we have are the lips, which can sometimes be tricky for male mouths. Once again, here are 3 ways I often draw the mouth from the front. Feel free to screenshot, do whatever you want with these photos. I don't care, they're completely yours to use. One of the most important things to remember is to keep the corners aligned with the tear ducts, or if you want a wider mouth, a little towards the pupils or iris. Just be careful not to make it too wide. Also, make sure you keep the bottom portion of the lip a bit straight and be sure to follow the guidelines you set in place. For fuller lips, space the top and bottom lines farther apart, but for thinner lips, compress them. If the lips look too small, you can try lengthening the nose or shortening the chin at times to balance things out. You never know what works and what doesn't until you try it out. And if all has gone well up to this point, you should be left with a face that's either similar to the reference or within the same proportions as it. At this point, and if it's wanted, use the liquify or try resizing the head and face to see where you want it and get it to where you're satisfied. Then redraw the guidelines so that you officially have a complete head proportional guide on how to draw future faces. When doing this method, I want you to think of things like Legos. Everything connects, and once you know where pieces go, you can build any face, even anime styles or other styles you want to study. The glasses method works on any style, and once you have the base form of things, it's relatively easy to make things to your own taste. But that's all I have for this tutorial. Once again, it's relatively short, but I hope it was very simple to follow along with. I really hope this helped, and all resources I mentioned will be linked in the description, including my gritty Chongguk brush. Be sure to practice creating the base without the use of references so that you can train your mind to draw it from imagination and eventually without the guidelines. But as said before, if you'd like me to cover female faces or body proportions, drop a comment and I'll get to it. Thank you all so much for watching and supporting this channel. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers, and for years that has been such a dream of mine. I really am thankful for all of you, and I look forward to making more videos like this in the future. I love you all, and let's draw again another time. Bye-bye!